What a glorious morning. It's the middle of September and the rosebay willow herb is now finished flowering and producing vast amounts of seed that blow across the garden like snow. Not very much I can do about it, so I just have to pull the weeds out the next year as they come up. But it's a small price to pay for living in a place like this. And the Rosa rugosa by the back gate has got these beautiful big fat rose hips. The nasturtiums that self-seeded last year have decided that actually they'd rather face the sun, and who wouldn't? So they've come through the back of the trellis and are just cascading down onto the path. Gives me something to look at rather than these tatty old beehives with all the bits and pieces just piled up around them. Masses of rose hips too on this one, just by the back garden gate. Last year I made rosehip syrup and I made so much that I'm probably not going to need to make any more for the next couple of years. Really rich in vitamin C. Nicotiana, the white and purple, sunflowers, kale, and like everything else, like the nasturtiums, turning their faces to the sunshine. There's a metaphor for life. There's some alpine strawberries, and more there hidden under the leaves somewhere. There. I like to pop those in amongst my salad leaves at lunchtime, just gives a little burst of sweetness. And then behind them, an anémone de Caen. And here's something else that's going to go in my salad this lunchtime as well, a little row of radishes. And then behind, some rocket, all covered over in plastic netting so that the cats can't get at it. And this rose is called Buttercup. It was a gift from my son last Christmas, replacing one that I left behind in my old garden. And here are the other side of the nasturtiums, actually facing to the north as well. They've just taken over everything. And then behind them, some of the Nicotiana that were given to me as tiny little seedlings by my next door neighbour. I'm not sure what this shrub is, but it's an absolute mass of berries. Again, the birds are going to do all right out of this. Look at the shine on them. And the honeysuckle has its last few flowers on it. Something else that's just kept going steadily all through the summer. One of the things I love about taking the camera out into the garden or on walks is that you actually notice so much more because you stop to look. And this white spike is a foxglove. It's very late. They bloomed mainly in May. A bit of a scraggly one, but a nice white when it opens. And here we have the shiny red berries of the honeysuckle against that gorgeous blue sky. Something new I'm trying this year, as I've picked some of these marigold petals and dried them, and I'm soaking them in sweet almond oil, and it's supposed to be really good as a sort of soothing balm for the skin for itches and cuts and grazes. It's antiseptic, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. This is the Nicotiana. It smells a little bit like carnations, really, really strong at night. It's a relative of the tobacco plant, hence the Nicotiana. Sweet peas are still blooming, and I've been picking great handfuls to have on my desk so that when I'm sitting at my computer I'm surrounded by the smell of the garden. And then behind the little pink flowers, that's oregano, and then the pointy leaves at the back, that's another type of sorrel. Lots of flowers that bloom earlier in the summer have a second flush, and this is my new rose Gertrude Jekyll, named after a very famous gardener. And the creeping thymes threatening to take over the whole of this path. The shadows thrown across them of the marigolds behind. And there's the pad left out from my meditation this morning. When I came out, it was a beautiful, beautiful morning, but my goodness, it was cold. So I had thick jerseys and a coat and a hat on, sat on the pad. And here is what I am most proud of at the moment. So I've spent 2 or 3 days over the last couple of weeks lifting and relaying these paving slabs and getting rid of all of the weeds that have grown down in between them. This garden was built on what used to be a bog, so it's very soft underneath, and they'd really dipped badly, and we're collecting the water, and it's been really hard work but so satisfying. And as my daughter said after I'd finished it, she said, "You are organising your mind as you organise the garden." It's a lovely metaphor. I think that's one of the reasons I do like weeding. It sort of sorts things out and clears out the rubbish in my mind as well as in the garden. And there's my hammock stand. Hasn't had much use for that this summer, but maybe later this afternoon. It's not been a great year for tomatoes, not a lot of sunshine, but this Italian plum tomato has produced quite a good crop. And you can see that they are beginning to ripen at the bottom. I've taken 2 or 3 off already. So I've put in, you'll be able to see it, you probably can't, there's a rather elderly banana at the back there which produces gases which actually encourage other fruit to ripen as well. So they're okay in here for now, and frosts aren't too hard, but at some point I'm probably going to have to bring them into the house and put them with another banana to get them to ripen. The same goes for the cherry tomatoes. You might notice there's no leaves on this plant. It's not going to actually produce any bigger tomatoes or any new ones now, so I've taken the leaves off so that the sun can reach them and speed up that ripening process. The leeks are doing really well, and the kale is still threatening to push the covers off. I think we're almost at the point now where I can take this netting off. Should be free from all the beasties. So hopefully in my next video you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Morning, hello. Anybody think I never fed you? You can see we've still got the feather pecking problem. Gale, the white one, has got a beautifully purple rump. She wasn't very impressed when I caught her to spray all of that. She's also sprayed with something to make it taste bad. Now the weather's getting colder, we can't really have her walking around with a bald bum. Beautiful rosy apples. This is beaver seedling. And a bright green mossy lawn. I've given up on getting rid of moss. Kind of think, yep, this wants to be bog. It's green, it's flat, and if I actually removed all the moss, it'd be a never-ending battle, and I'd have a very bald lawn. So I just choose to keep it like that. There's the hedge in the background, the new beech hedge. The crocosmia is finished for the summer now, but now it's got these interesting architectural seed pods. So I shall keep that there until the leaves die back before I get rid of it. Probably actually not till next spring, because that's a really great place for wildlife to overwinter. There's one of the bikes howling down from the hills behind me. We have a constant stream of bikes in the summer. Here's the hills from the front of the house. The planters by the front door are looking a bit sorry for themselves. Tomatoes are definitely being knocked by the frost. There are some more tomatoes in there. I'll pick those later and ripen them indoors, but the lobelia is still looking very pretty. I love borrowed plants. These are coming through from next door, so we're getting all of the benefit of those lovely berries. This is a cotoneaster. Cordon apples against the fence. I'm not pruning them now. I want them to put as much energy into the roots for the winter as possible. And I shall prune them in January. In front of them, lovely big fan of leaves from the cotoneaster and an acer with strawberries underneath. When I moved here, we've had 2 big compost bays that were absolutely full, and right in the middle of those I found the tubers for these dahlias. What a beautiful thing to come out of the front door to in the morning. They've been blooming for weeks now, and even though we've had a couple of frosts, they're still going. I love the way the sun shines through those petals. And last but not least, you might be able to see through the window these big green leaves. This is turmeric, so I bought some fresh tubers from an Asian supermarket in Glasgow. And that loves this window, so much sunlight coming in for it. I'm going to finish off with a bit of serendipity. This pot had agapanthus in when we arrived, and in all of the upheaval of moving I forgot to raise it off the ground, and they froze and rotted. And as you can see, this is not agapanthus. This is watercress. I have no idea how watercress seed got in here, but it's really tasty and it comes back every year. More breakfast, more for my salads. If you found this video helpful, please do click on like below and subscribe to my channel. You might also like to hop across using the links to my Facebook or LinkedIn pages, where you'll find much more content.